Now we get to do this again. While waiting to actually go live, it says live now.
Hello, this is George.
Not on yet.
Oh.
There we go. There we
Hello,
are.
this is George.
And Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
Just to practice.
And this is Adonai Sanctuary Truth Classroom.
Yay. And we're back to live. Yay. Thank you, Tom, for figuring that out.
We were confused about why we couldn't get on, but our son Tom figured it out. Kind of by accident, he was moving, but we got it made and we're on what we're supposed to be.
Yay.
Now, today is September 20th.
30th.
30th. Oh my goodness, I'm 10 days behind.
Wow.
September 30th. And we're going to be going over Jehoshua 13 and 14.
That's true.
And my sweetie's going to read it, one verse that I wrote this morning. I didn't write it. I went and looked over it. And I made a little comment. So it's not Jehoshua. It's in Micah. Micah 4:4.
4-5.
4:5. I'm sorry.
What you said? For all the peoples will walk, each in the name of its God, but we will walk in the name of Adonai, our God, forever and ever.
This is what we see, and now know that each person will walk with their God. That's what you read, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those who only want truth will walk with Adonai. It says, our God, forever.
Mm-hmm.
Now my sweetie's going to read Micah 6:8.
Human beings, you have already been told what is good, what Adonai demands of you. No more than to act justly, love grace, and walk in purity with your God.
That is for the people of today as well. People, you have been told what is good. Adonai has told you the truth. Act with grace. Be just, and people walk with Adonai with only a pure heart for a pure God. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Now we're going to get into what we go over. Ann should be on. We had to stall every once in a while for Ann. Okay. Now remember, we've said this a number of times. We only want what the scriptures say is truth. The truth is, most of society have it wrong. Whoa. That's kind of a hard statement.
Mm-hmm.
Brainwashing will lead you to hell. You don't get extra credit for following any made-up name. It's either the truth or it's a lie. There's no little white lies. No half-truths. No hell is waiting. No. Hell is waiting for all imposters. That was an interesting topic too. Interesting reading. And you people have to understand that. Now I guess we could say we're going to chapter 13 of Jehoshua. Chapter 13 sounds like Adonai is speaking right to me. Read 1, please.
Now Joshua was old, the years had taken their toll. Adonai said to him, you are old, and the years have taken their toll. But there is a great deal of land to be possessed. Still got a lot of work to do.
Now you see why I said it sounds like it's talking right to me. You are getting old, yet there's a great deal of work that needs to be done. Read 2, please.
This is the land that still remains, all the regions of the Philistines and all the Geshuri. No, that's two. Sorry, almost went on.
The land of the Philistines and the Geshurites. As we have studied, we found out that the Philistines were the descendants of Ham, the youngest son of Noah. What we know about the Gershi is that they were a fairly large group who settled just west of the Sea of Corinth, or the Sea of Galilee. That's about what we know about them. Now my sweetie's going to read 3 through 5.
From the land of Shechor, which fronts Egypt, to the border of Ekron, northward from there, the land is considered as belonging to the Canaanites. That is the territory of, turn the page, the rulers of the Philistines in Azar, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gat, and Ekron, and also the Avim. To the south, all the land of the Canaanites, Merahai, whatever, which belongs to the Tesdanim, as far as Aphek, on the border with the Amorites. Did you say through 5?
Mm-hmm.
The land of the Givli and all of Lebanon eastward, from the Baal Gad to the foot of Mount Hermon on the entrance of Hamat. I'm sure I messed up those words, but that's okay. They ain't around to criticize me.
The area that would become Israel and Jehudah. Now, all those words that she read, which I'm going to try to read a few of them, really doesn't say much unless you look at the maps and find out where they were. She read from the river Shiro that fronts Egypt, in other words, from Egypt, north to Gad, the Hivite area north, let's put it this way, from the river to Mount Halak to Belgad, west and north to the Hivites, and west of the Jordan River through the Amorite area where the Hebrews were, the Hebrew area when Jehoshua got old. That is an area approximately 120 miles north of Jericho. Remember that, they marched around Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
75 miles south of Jericho, from the Great Sea, that's the Mediterranean Sea, west at least 100 miles to Jordan, Syria, and north with some of Lebanon, were Adonai's holy land, and he gave it to the Hebrews. Now that's quite a hunk.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's state more. Now you remember, we're not trying to confuse anybody. We're not even pronouncing every word right, but we're trying to get you to understand the size of what the Hebrews were actually given by Adonai. My sweetie's going to read 6 and 7.
As for the inheritance of the hills between Lebanon and Mirapha-Mayan, that is all of Tesdanim, I myself will expel them ahead of the people of Israel. All you have to do is assign it to Israel as an inheritance, as I ordered you. So now divide this land as an inheritance for the 9 tribes and the half-tribe of Manasseh.
That area is around 100 miles north of the Sea of Galilee. All that land and the inhabitants of the hills, she read, and it states, I will expel those now. All you have to do is divide the land with the 9.5 tribes west of the Jordan River and east of the other 2.5 tribes that are left. So that area goes from the east border river of Egypt, north to Mount Hermon, and east to the area that Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh. In other words, the ones on the west side of the Sea of Galilee. Again, that area was Adonai.
Bless you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Again, that area was Adonai's, given to the Hebrews by Adonai. Not by a few countries who said we must feel sorry about what Hitler did to the Jews. No, that area was Adonai's, and it was given to them by him. Now, when you read and you study, you find out the Hebrews didn't always obey Adonai.
Oh.
Of course, that would probably be said about us people now.
Yeah.
You can read yourself again what they were supposed to do to prevent a lot of confused reading. You people, if interested, can go over the verses yourself. Because actually, if you read 8 through 12, that kind of a lot of confused reading, and it confused me, and it would confuse my honey. But let's just go down to verse 13. 13 says, for some reason they didn't, well, read 13.
However, the people of Israel expelled neither the Geshuri nor the Mahati, with the consequences that Geshur and Mahat had lived among the people to this day.
Now, why would that be something that makes any sense? Well, that would and did cause trouble in the future. See, we have to read in the future what happened to those countries that they let live in there and do stuff that Adonai told them to get rid of them. Everybody received their land, but they allowed those 2 to remain, which was against what Adonai had said. My sweetie's going to read 14.
Only to the tribe of Levi did Moses give no inheritance, because the offerings made by fire for Adonai, the God of Israel, are its inheritance, as Adonai had said to Moses.
We might state this a couple times, and I think we do. But the tribe of Levi was given no land because they didn't inherit any from Adonai. You can read Yehoshua 13, 15 through 23 to see Reuben receive land east of the Jordan from the town area south of Aroer and the area around Heshbon, which was an area that would have been approximately 28 by 25 miles of land. You can read Yehoshua 13, 24 through 28 to see Adonai received land north. You can read Yehoshua 13, 24 through 28 to see Gad. That was part of one of the. I didn't read my own writing. Gad received land north of Heshbon, to Machim, to the Ramat Gilead, and up the lake, up to Lake Kinneret. In other words, the Sea of Galilee. That is somewhat of a V shape according when you look at a map. You can read in Joshua 13:29 through 31 to see the area given to the half-tribe of Manasseh was from the town of Mechaniah north to Mount Hermon, which was an area approximately about 75 by 30 miles. Much larger than the other two sons on the east side of the Jordan. Which was east of Jericho. It looks like Joseph's sons, Manasseh and his descendants, received almost, if not the largest amount of land. Mm-hmm. Yehuda is where Judah really came from. Judah is large also. Now that's what it states right there at the end, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Chapter 14, more dividing of Adonai's land to the 9.5 tribes left. Now I understand this is kind of just reading off a bunch of cities and towns and areas, but it gives us a general idea of how big and how much of that land was actually Israel's and Yehuda, and it was given to them by Adonai himself. My sweetie's going to read Joshua 14:1 through 3.
These are the inheritance which the people of Israel took in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the Kohen, Joshua the son of Nun, and the heads of the ancestral clans of the tribes of the people of Israel distributed to them, by lot for them to inherit, as Adonai ordered Moses, for the 9 tribes and the half-tribe. Moses had already given the inheritance to the 2 tribes and the half-tribe beyond the Jordan. To the Levites he gave no inheritance among them.
Did you catch that? Adonai's order through Moses to the chosen people and their inheritance. Was again stating the Levites got no land as their inheritance. My sweetie's going to read 4.
The descendants of Joseph constituted 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, and they gave no portion of the of the land to the Levites except cities to live in, with open land surrounding them for their livestock and crops.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting if you listen to what she just read or follow along. 4 stresses Joseph's 2 sons, and it stresses the Levites had no portion of inheritance, only they were in charge of cities to live in. Then she read something very interesting. The cities and the open land, pasture land for their flocks or their herds, and for their crops. So they were more or less priests who took care of livestock. They had their own little farm.
Yeah, and livestock and crops. I'm sorry. Yeah, farm and cows or livestock. I don't know.
I never really realized that or understood it before. Read 5, please.
As Adonai had ordered Moses, so the people of Israel did. They divided the land.
Israel did as Adonai ordered and divided the land. Really, it should say, and divided his land. Mm-hmm. History's lesson by Caleb, comes in 14:6. Read that, please.
The descendants of Judah approached Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb the son of, I can't say these words, Yefunan and Kenizzi said, "You know what Adonai told Moses, the man of God, about me and you in Kadesh Barnea."
Joshua, remember what Adonai told Moses about us? Is what she really said. Read 7, please.
"I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of Adonai, sent me to Kadesh Barnea to reconnoiter the land, and I brought back to him an honest report."
You remember,
Mm-hmm.
Caleb was the two that brought back
One of the two.
the honest report. And that's what he's talking about here. Because Caleb is still alive. And he says, I was 40 years old when we did that. But it also brought back what I would call an honest report back to Moses. Read 8, please.
"My brothers who went up with me discouraged the people, but I followed Adonai, my God, completely."
He states, our brothers discouraged the rest of our people, but Adonai saw how we followed, what would happen if we followed him completely. That's what Caleb is trying to get stressed right here. And I believe he's over 80 years old. Read 9, please.
"On the day Moses swore, 'Surely the land where your foot has been will be the inheritance for you and your descendants forever, because you have followed Adonai, my God, completely.'"
Moses, where I put my foot will be my descendants' inheritance forever. Because we followed Adonai completely.
Mm-hmm.
We like how 10 is worded. My sweetie's going to read 10.
"Now look, Adonai has kept me alive these 45 years, as he said he would from the time Adonai said this to Moses, when Israel was going through the desert. Today I am 85 years old."
Today I'm 85. Adonai has kept me alive all this time, full of life, for these 45 more years, while wandering in the desert. You might say, building himself up a little? Well, you might say that. An old man building himself up. Read 11, please.
"But I am as strong today as on the day Moses sent me. I'm as strong now as I was then, whether for war or simply for going here and there."
Now,
I like that.
this next part. Can't you just see one of us old people stating, I'm just as good as I was 45 years ago? For war or just living? We are not saying he wasn't. Yet when we study it, it sure sounds like one of us older generational people, older men remembering the good old years of the great years gone by. That just may be my viewpoint, but us older individuals sometimes get that idea. I can do anything. I can do things I could do 40 years ago. And I can't.
Me.
And I love it when you get an old guy and he has long hair and a ponytail and he acts like he's as young as he was 40 years ago. I have to laugh at him. My honey's going to read 12.
"Therefore give me this hill, the one Adonai spoke about on that day. For on that day you heard how the Anakim were there with great fortified cities. Perhaps Adonai will be with me, and I will drive them away, as Adonai said.
Do it, Adonai had told Moses, and give me Hebron. And we will drive out the Anakites, and then Judah will live in that land. Read 13 and 14, please.
Joshua blessed him and gave Hebron to Caleb as his inheritance. I'm not going to screw that word up again. As Hebron became inheritance to Caleb, as it is to this day, because he followed Adonai, the God of Israel, completely.
Yehoshua did as Caleb requested, because Caleb followed Adonai wholeheartedly. Is that what you said there?
Yeah, completely, but I like that too. Wholeheartedly.
And when you follow him completely or wholeheartedly, I have to admit, don't you think Adonai would be looking down on you with a smile? And maybe give you the energy that an 85-year-old needs to pretend like he's 20. But I guess every time we do things right with Adonai, it looks pretty good for you. Read 15, please.
Hebron was formerly called Kiryat Arba. This Arba was the greatest man among the Anakim. Then the land had rest from war.
There was really none left in the land Adonai had given Israel. Now my sweetie's going to read 11:21.
Joshua?
Yes, the first part, just the first part.
11. Joshua at that time came and cut off the Anakim from the land.
Yep. That states they cut off the Anakim. And here before it says they got to drive them out again. Now my sweetie's going to go to Bereshit, or Genesis 23, verse 19.
Then Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave in the field of Mahapin by Mamre, also known as Hebron, in the land of Canaan.
Now this part took a little. I knew there was something that was really interesting here, and it took a while to grasp what it is. But I want you to understand, if you stick with what I'm going to read, you might understand something that you probably never understood before. That guy, Abraham, the father of the Hebrew nation, when his wife Sarah died, he purchased the land and cave for a burial site. He paid twice the price it was worth. Now my sweetie's going to go to 25, Bereshit 25, 7 through 11.
This is how long Abraham lived, 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last, dying at a ripe old age, an old man full of years. He was gathered to his people. Isaac and Ishmael, his sons, buried him in the cave of Machpelah, if I said that right, in the field of Hebron, the son of Jezarcha the Hittite by Mamre. The field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Het. Abraham was buried there with his wife Sarah. After Abraham died, God blessed Isaac, his son, and Isaac lived near that town.
Abraham, the Hebrew patriarch, was buried there also with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Plus both Isaac and Jacob were also buried at Kiryat Arib. When it was ruled by the Anakites,
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. The land the patriarch owned, yes, he bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this. Would be the land of Israel. We know Abraham entered what would be called Canaan about 2091 BC. Yehoshua entered Canaan with the Hebrews somewhere around 1406 BC. So Abraham was there 685 years earlier.
That's amazing.
In the land that Adonai himself called it his. Sounds like it stops in the middle of a thought, doesn't it? That is where Yehoshua 14 ends. So next week we will see where Yehoshua 15 takes us. But think about it. Abraham buried his wife. His wife died, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
He bought the land from the Anakites and purchased that land for a burial site. And after 685 years later, Adonai gave it to his descendants, what he bought. That's so interesting.
Yeah, but nobody's ever studied that deep to find that out.
Think about that. That is so interesting. 685, somewhere around there, years earlier, Abraham bought the land that would be classified Israel. That long before it was.
Wow.
Now that
Interesting.
isn't just interesting. That's amazing when you stop and think about that. Wow.
Wow, is right.
Now, I don't know where 15 goes. I haven't read that far ahead in it yet. I've studied it and wrote about it, but I'm all the way up past Kings. I'm in the Kings now, so in my studies. But we're going to find out what happens in 15. Now, remember when I told you a number of times, when we go over stuff, it isn't always the most interesting thing for you. It isn't always the most upbeat, but what it is truth.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have truth, you have the scriptures.
True.
Without truth, you got a brainwashing by a priest and the denominational philosophy of church doctrine, not scripture. Now, we try to bring the truth out so people can study it themselves and learn. Yes, this part right here today was kind of confusing with all the areas that you never ever heard about before. But we have to go through the parts that don't really jump out at you to get to the parts that do.
Well, and you're building a foundation on what's going to happen. Those cities will be relevant down the road.
I like that. We didn't discuss that, but she said it right. You guys have, everybody that watches, have a good week. What do you always tell them to do?
Please like and share it.
Share it with your friend.
Yep. And your enemies. Who cares?
Share it with your enemies. Torture them too. You know they need the truth as much as your friends or you do. You have a great week. Bye.